You're entering Corsi Nation.
This is Jerome Corsi, and today it is Friday. It's May 9th, 2025. Thank you for joining us here on CorsiNation.com. You can follow me on X at CorsiJerome1, and on Substack it's JeromeCorsiPhD.substack.com. There's quite a bit of news today. Number one, I want to start with Ed Martin, because of this Tom Tillis of North Carolina, the senator, who blackballed Ed Martin because Ed Martin supported J6ers, and Tom Tillis is another worthless rhino, needs to be voted out of the Senate. He's one of the guys we should put on the list to primary. It's the first time we get a chance. This guy is he needs to be examined. There's good information, and Jason Goodman developed it. I've known Jason for years on the mortgage manipulation that Tom Tillis has done to enrich himself. Another wealthy, worthless rhino senator, Tom Tillis. They should mark him for retirement and investigation. How these people get rich and become the Senate and the House needs to be examined. They are getting rich by bribery schemes, mortgage schemes, insider trading schemes. Harry Truman said the only way to become wealthy as a politician is to be a crook. As far as I can tell, Tom Tillis is a crook. And he's disgraceful for not supporting President Trump's nominee, Ed Martin, to be the U.S. attorney in Washington, D.C. Now, the good news of this is I think we actually get a plus here, because what Donald Trump did is he turned around immediately, withdrew Ed Martin's role, and appointed Fox News host Judge Jeneane Pirro. And Judge Pirro is tough as they come, and I think she's going to be a good U.S. attorney for D.C. And so Tom Tillis, because he didn't like Ed Martin's role in J6ers, he wants to think the J6ers are insurrectionists. This Tom Tillis is disgraceful. I can't tell you how much I'm beginning to think that these rhinos in Congress are worse than the Democrats. I wonder how many of them are actually paid by the Democratic Party to run as Republicans. Now, Tom Tillis needs to be investigated. And this whole idea of turning against the president's nominee is disgraceful. He also voted for every single one of Biden's cabinet nominees. He was a Biden lover. He's an Obama lover. Tom Tillis is not a Republican. He's just a Democrat light. He's worthless. Okay, now Ed Martin, I'm pleased to say, is going to have another position for which he does not have to get Senate confirmation. So Ed, who's been my friend, I've known Ed now for going on to, I guess, 25 years. Ed headed Eagle Forum after Phyllis Schlafly passed away, and Ed's been a solid conservative and really forthright. He was going to make a great U.S. attorney. But his new position, he's going to head in the Department of Justice the weaponization program. In other words, he's going to go after all the criminals like the Mueller investigation who came and tried to put me in prison. And as I say, it was a devastating period of time. For my life since 2018 has been chaos as a result of having been threatened with going to prison for the rest of my life, rejecting the plea deal they offered me, and then they did not indict me. Said they closed the Mueller investigation. I did not have a tie to Julian Assange, which they thought I did, the prosecutors. The prosecutors were the criminals. Now, Ed is also going to be head of pardons, and that's also good news because there's several people that need to have pardons. And I'm happy to champion those who would like to get pardons if they have any basis in having been especially targeted and prosecuted by the Democrats. And I've got a number of them in mind who I think deserve pardons and should be at the top of the list. So I'm available to work on those issues if those of you out there needing pardons want to come forward. Okay, let's move on. I think another couple of stories that I'm following here are that this, I think, is I want to skip to to Robert Kennedy, because it was this last minute substitution of who was going to be Surgeon General. And there's a lot of controversy over it because Robert Kennedy's choice was replaced at the last minute by another woman, a woman named Means. And Robert Malone, Dr. Malone, has written a very good Substack on this today. And I think, quite frankly, the choice may have been a smart one because the Means is going to make a good Surgeon General, which is mostly a ceremonial position. She's quite articulate. And the woman that Robert Kennedy preferred is going to be assigned to a position within DHS. Here's Robert Kennedy being interviewed on the subject. Chris, want to play that clip?
On my watch. The Surgeon General nominee was supposed to be a hearing today on Capitol Hill. Dr. Neshwat was pulled. She's heading here to the HHS. What happened with all that?
What happened with her withdrawal? We talked to Dr. Neshwat. We're going to put her at a very good place here at HHS. Casey Means, we felt, was the best person to really bring the vision of MAHA to the American public. She has this unique capacity to articulate it. She's written a book that really mobilized, galvanized the movement. She is an extraordinary. She is excellence in everything that she's ever endeavored.
Obviously, she's come under her own criticism about some of the things she's advocated for. She never finished her residency, and she doesn't currently have an active medical license. But that's not.
She was the very top of her medical class at Stanford. She is during her residency, she won every award that she could win. She walked away from traditional medicine because she was not curing patients. She couldn't get anybody within her profession to look at the nutrition contributions to illness. And she said, if we're really going to heal people, if we're healers, we can't just be making our life about billing new procedures. We actually have to figure out new approaches to medicine. And that's the kind of leadership that she's going to bring to our country.
And last thing on this, your former running mate weighed in today saying that she wasn't happy about this and said that you're somehow being controlled. Your decisions are being controlled. That's what she posted.
Listen, you guys sitting here, 4 people who were all canceled during COVID.
Yeah, right.
Of these people are, you've got the entire leadership of this agency is renegades who are juggernauts against convention and who are trying to look for truth no matter what the cost.
So nobody's controlling your
Casey
decision.
is among those.
I think Robert Kennedy's right, and I continue to trust his judgment on the MAHA, Make America Healthy Again issues. I think he's a very, very brilliant guy. I think he is dedicated and as tough as nails when it comes to showing the vaccines cause autism, trying to protect babies. We're trying to get medicine to be healing, not just big pharmacy. We're seeing attacks by big pharmacy, and his campaign manager and running mates and all of the people around him when he was running as a Democrat were not as strongly MAHA as he is, nor were they as strongly pro-Trump as he is. So I think we've got here now a whole new configuration in the Department of Health and Human Services, and I'm very much enthusiastic. Robert Kennedy is going to bring dramatic changes. Got to remember, this is just the beginning of the second Trump presidency. We're only 100 days into it, and remarkable things have happened. So much has happened. We're almost judging that we want more to happen. Now, every day is a big news event when it comes to what Trump is about. Trump is completely changing the dynamics of American politics. And I thank God that his life was spared and that he has the opportunity to serve again. And, this, I think, is a reprieve by God, which I've been begging for, with encouraging everyone to, in the spirit of 2 Chronicles 7:14, let's get on our knees and ask God to forgive us for letting a society get to where it was, where you couldn't tell who a woman was, and you were sexually mutilating children before they reached the age of puberty. His democratic ideas have been satanic insanity. And thank God we have gotten through what we've gotten through without the nation being destroyed. We were 1 inch from a nuclear war under Biden, and we are 1 inch away from, the entire loss of the country had Kamala Harris won. We would have had God banned from the United States of America, which would have been the end of the United States of America. Okay, now let's talk about the new Pope. Well, as predicted, the Vatican went with another LGBT advocate. This guy, Leo the 16th, I guess Leo the 14th. Leo the 13th was a turn of the century. He was a great pope. He had a vision that Satan was coming into the church. He was saying mass one day, and he had this vision. It knocked him out, basically. And he put in the prayer for St. Michael the Archangel to defend us against our enemies at the end of the Catholic Mass. Okay, so what you're dealing with here is a anti-Trump hater. He's been criticizing MAGA for years. This guy, I'm tremendously disappointed in this Pope. And the reason I think they chose him was they wanted an American. So as American Catholics will say, oh, isn't this wonderful? He probably likes the Chicago Cubs. We got an American Pope. We got an American LGBT who doesn't know what a woman is. Of course, I bet he knows what little boys are. Okay, so he's going to protect little boys buggering. He's going to, LGBT is going to be in. Okay, and what his name is Robert Francis Prevost. Okay, and he should take the name Leo the 14th when Satan's arrived in the church, Catholic Church. So this is, again, a sacrilege. Even the choice of the name is a sacrilege. And I'm appalled at this guy. Okay, so I'm just going to read you a couple of things that are coming out that Alex Jones is reporting on today. He's saying that this Robert Francis Prevost, under the X handle of @Dr. Prevost, the new Bishop of Rome's most recent post prior to being elected to conclave as Pope, he was criticizing El Salvador's president and President Trump over the El Salvadorian MS-13 gang member Kilmer Garcia. Okay, so we just got another woke Pope. We got another Francis II, and this, I think, is just going to be another. He's very much in favor of the synodal movement, where the bishops are trying to reach out to the LGBT, and these are neglected minorities, and they want to have to make room for them at the table. The Catholic Church, they have LGBT be welcomed. Well, you don't welcome Satan to the party, and if you do, you don't have a Catholic Church. Archbishop Vigano has been outspoken about the evil within the church, and I'm going to be working with Archbishop Vigano to bring forth his information on how Pope Francis and it's Archbishop McCarrick sold out the church in China to the communists, how they supported Obama and his green movement. They supported working with Biden as vice president to make a deal in Honduras, where the Catholic Church supported a president in Honduras who was doing a child sex trade with immigrants coming across the border, and also the drug trade. It's as dirty as it gets. And Prevost will just be more of the same. So we just now have to double down on opposition to Satan within the Catholic Church. And Chris will show the Silicon Satan book cover. Again, we were strongly supporting Craig Lund, who wrote this book, Silicon Satan. It's a novel, but it very, very accurately describes the Satanism in Silicon Valley, the Satanism in Hollywood, the Satanism of our top elites. And again, if we just show that cover, I will want to encourage everybody to, as difficult to read as this is, get a copy of Silicon Satan. We'll be having Craig back with us again next week. We're doing chapter by chapter discussion of the novel. There's a lot on the new CorsiNation.com website. And I think if you'll scroll down, you can see that Craig is even previewing his second novel. He's in the process of writing right now. Chris is showing you how to navigate the page and to come down on CorsiNation.com to where we have the information there about Silicon Satan. And you can follow more on Craig Lund and see, in fact, what he's doing. There's Craig Lund. Together, just take a look at what he's saying. I think you're going to find it to be extremely interesting. And you'll find out his new novel, his animations, etc. Got to expose the Satanism. We've got to get rid of it. That's our next task. Got to drive these demons, these Democrat demons, back to hell where they belong. The Democratic Party became a communist party. It's now a treasonous party. It's dark. They love death. They love abortion. They love mutilating children so they don't procreate. They're enamored with money and Silicon Valley, and they're evil. And even Klaus Schwab had to resign from the World Economic Forum because of the massages in his room that he was getting, the sex massages, I'm sure. Having his acolytes go to their ATMs to get him money so he could get his prostitutes to come give him massages in his room without it showing up on his expense account. Again, another oligarch Nazi criminal. The next story here, they're calling it the wars of the apocalypse, two of the wars, which are entering very dangerous stages. First of all, Ukraine and Zelensky, who is a nutcase, a comic, a drug addict, doing cocaine up his nose until he can't give an interview without rubbing his nose all the time, and he's an actor. He's a charade with uniforms. He thinks he's playing a role. He actually did play a comic role as president of the country in a sitcom that was on Ukrainian television, grooming everybody for him to become the next president. Well, Russia's going to have a Victory Day parade here coming up imminently. And Zelensky said he's going to do a drone attack and try to kill 20 of the leaders of the world who are going to be with Moscow on their Victory Day parade. Well, this would be like a bombing at our 4th of July festivals in Washington. So if Zelensky does that, Russia is likely to respond with devastating Kiev. I wouldn't even be surprised to see a nuclear attack on Kiev. Russia's about had it. Putin's patience is at a limit. The Trump administration has done everything they could to get reasonable peace here. But if Zelensky wants to keep fighting, now why does Zelensky want to keep fighting? Well, because the European Union will have to admit its crimes, have to be exposed. Macron, who's married to a man, an older man, Europe knows all about that. The United States doesn't. Macron trying to edge his way into the discussion between Zelensky and Trump in St. Peter's Cathedral in the Vatican, when Pope Francis was lying in state, about to be buried. May long he be dead. And only evil should be sent to where he, I believe, is headed. And this next pope is no better. You can't have LGBT popes trying to guide the Catholic Church to its next. The next generation is not the rainbow generation of we are the world and kumbaya. No, I'm sorry. These people are evil. Their agenda is destruction. If you take a look at a book I wrote, which is called the Truth About Neo-Marxism, Cultural Maoism, and Anarchy, you'll see, analyze all the political philosophy and show you that communism has morphed into this critical theory, which is completely destructive. It can only destroy. If you follow this line, we will have World War III. And I pray that Zelensky will not attack Moscow. Zelensky, I'm sure, now I'm told went a shopping spree with his wife. She brought over $1 million worth of jewelry, and they have mansions, maybe even a mansion in the United States. It's all about theft. They want to steal money. All the Democrats do is steal money. And by the way, we're going to be exposing how the Democratic machine steals money. We have whistleblower on Act Blue. God's Five Stones is going to be covering this very quickly. And the update on God's Five Stones, and Chris, if you'll show the website, is that we are raising additional round of money. President Trump is using our data on the algorithms. And what's in the works, I believe, will be becoming an executive order based on national security that foreign nations have penetrated the computers of the state boards of election and can manipulate and have been manipulating our elections. So under powers of commander-in-chief, they can basically insist that we go to paper ballots, that we have proof of citizenship to vote, and we have voter IDs. This is coming. I think it's going to come by executive order. And if it does come by the way I'm envisioning it, and the way Peter Titkin and I have been strategizing it, and with God's Five Stones, with Dr. Carla Dean Graves, we believe that our data is going to be decisive. When all the other data, which has been trying in the courts to win, this is a political issue and it's going to get resolved politically. And it's a national security issue because foreign nations can influence our elections, and we can't, the machines have to go. We've got to go back to paper, got to go back to proof of citizenship and voter ID. And the Democrats want to scream like banshees out of hell. Let them go ahead and let the American people see how evil these people are. And now let's start exposing the Tom Tillises of the Republican Party that also need to go. Okay, the rhinos need to go. They need to be primaried. They need to be out of the party. They need to be investigated for the money they've stolen. Okay, now the other wars that are of concern, it's not only the Ukraine situation, but again, and by the way, Xi Jinping is going to be in Moscow for this Victory Day. And the other one that is, I think, really extremely important is, again, Israel. Israel is said to Hamas that they have until May 15th, which is 6 days from now, to release all the hostages. Otherwise, Netanyahu has a vote from his cabinet to take the Israeli Defense Force into Gaza and to level it. So no building will have 2 stories. They'll reduce it to rubble. And he's going to make it uninhabitable. This is the only solution, really. And President Trump has already begun discussions with Netanyahu that the United States will take over the administration of Gaza. Libya will take Palestinians who want to move. And Libya is really the key point. I've been arguing this for months, is the key point for getting the Muslim countries, especially along North Africa, to begin accepting the Palestinians on a voluntary basis. I think Trump is going to live out his dream of making the Gaza and all of North Africa into the Riviera of the Mediterranean. It can be done. And we can pull out of Europe the Muslims back into these Muslim countries, provided they have a life to go to. Now, the danger is that at the same time, Israel is concerned that Iran is only a short period of time away from developing 6 nuclear weapons. And if the Iranians do this, Israel is going to be under an existential threat. There'll be no way to stop them from attacking militarily the Iranian nuclear facilities. That type of a war is extremely dangerous and extremely difficult to predict. So it's pretty much down to that either the Iranians are going to destroy the nuclear facilities or Netanyahu and Donald Trump are going to do it for them. Because I think the war is coming to a point where Israel is feeling an existential threat. And the solutions that are available are not to concede, to put Hamas back in Gaza and do it all over again with the same old failed drama that we've been seeing for a long time. Okay, now the economy. After the deal on trade was settled with the UK, we'll probably have a bounce in the stock market on Monday. But gold is still trading at $3,331 an ounce, and silver is at $32.55 an ounce. Now, I'm telling you that we're going to face a global crisis of debt, and it's coming. I don't see any other solution to it. This global crisis of debt is going to force the world economics to collapse because we'll have a banking crisis. And you could see the Dow Jones trading at 35,000 points, which would be a significant loss of trillions of dollars. Now, I'm encouraging everyone, Chris, please show what we can do with Swiss America, the ability to get, if you go to Swiss America's website, and I'm going to ask you to show the book where you get a free book, if they call the 800 number. But in the book is how the coming global crisis is going to, global economic crash is going to cause an historic gold rush, which is in the process. There's the cover of the book. And I wrote it with Dean Heskin, who's the head of Swiss America. You can get it by calling Swiss America's toll-free number, 1-800-519-6268. So write it down, 1-800-519-6268. Now, get a self-directed IRA or a self-directed 401k. What that means is you can pick your assets. You're not waiting for some, stock jockey or financial planner to pick your assets. And you can get a depository, which will be set up for you by Swiss America in Delaware, that will hold your physical gold and silver, plus a Lloyd's of London insurance contract, which will guarantee the gold and silver is there. Now, the gold and silver are going to appreciate dramatically. Purchasing power is going to increase. It's going to go easily to $4,000 an ounce. I see gold at $6,000 an ounce. Well, the dollar is going to be continually diminishing in value. And if you act now, you can get this as a first-time customer, Swiss America. You can get this Walking Liberty $50 offer where you can buy up to 250 of these coins. They're minted years ago. They're about 99% silver. It's a lost leader of Swiss America. You can get these coins at virtually what they're worth in silver. Chris is showing you all the pages on CorsiNation.com where you can access various reports, etc. I'm going to be writing a new report for Swiss America on the BRICS in the next few days. Also go to My Vital C, another one of our sponsors. I'm taking this My Vital C Carbon 60 in olive oil every day. I've been doing it for 4 or 5 years. It really improves mental acuity. It improves longevity possibilities. It's a revitalizer. It's an antioxidant. Give it a try. There's also hair creams and skin creams, which I use, which are quite good. And there's products for cats and dogs. Cats and dogs love Carbon 60. So My Vital C, C for Carbon 60, you can get it on our website. If you'll go through our website, we'll get the benefit of your sale. And it's a way to support Corsi Nation. If you like the programming, please support our sponsors. Okay, I want to go for a couple more stories before we wrap up. And Chris, I want you to comment here as we go through it. By the way, we're losing our World War II veterans. Okay, so there were millions who fought in World War II, and this is the 80th anniversary today of the end of World War II in Europe. Okay, so when you realize that 37% of Americans in a survey done just a little while ago said they knew little or nothing about World War II or the events leading up to it. But 16 million Americans fought in World War II, but given aging and the passing of time, they're dying. I was raised by the World War II generation, and soon those of us who had memory from our parents of World War II will be gone. But just a few years ago, there were 2 million World War II survivors. But by 2044, which will be 100 years from the big war ended in 1945. By 2044, there will be no World War II veterans left. By 2040, there'll only be about 10 left. By 2035, there'll only be about 331 left. They're rapidly passing away. And this is a great treasure when those who experienced the Civil War, when I was young, there were still some alive who had experienced the Civil War. That memory now is erased. No one's alive who experienced anything about the Civil War, whoever saw Abraham Lincoln. And soon it will be the same with Franklin Roosevelt in World War II. Okay, China is continuing to be a problem child with regards to the tariffs that Trump is going to impose. Now, these tariffs, I think, are absolutely essential. China and the world has benefited from the so-called free trade, which is another New World Order scam. What it meant is that China got into the World Trade Organization, and suddenly they were a trusted partner. We sent all of our manufacturing to China for cheap slave labor. It was okay. We didn't have any moral compunction about employing slaves to make our sneakers. Okay, so we lost jobs, and as an impact, our economy has suffered. Okay, and all these cheap Chinese goods, what use are there if the middle class of the United States is destroyed? And thank you, Joe Biden, for the inflation, which further destroyed the middle class. This has been the evil nature of this New World Order group that are using the Democrat communist demons to destroy traditional values so they can take over the world with their transhuman computers. Another idea of replacing God. Okay, so it's time we say there's tariffs. We're going to bring the jobs back to the United States. I'm on this major theme that the Trump administration has to act quickly. My co-author, Todd Callender, and I, Todd runs a insurance investment fund in Barbados called the Cotswold Group, and he owns the right to develop this port in Chile that's on the Pacific. It's a deep water port, and China wants that port for their Belt and Road Initiative in Latin America and South America. They want to build a bi-oceanic corridor that attaches the Atlantic part of South America to the Pacific part of South America, ending up at the Port Copiapó in Chile. And if China gets this resource, it's going to be a strategic blow to the United States, especially at a time when Donald Trump is trying to get the Panama Canal under our control once again. Jimmy Carter and Robert Pastor, this American University professor who was a communist, I opposed on the Security and Prosperity Partnership of North America. Robert Pastor convinced Jimmy Carter to give Panama Canal back to Panama. And again, it was a communist move to destroy the United States of America's power. Donald Trump has got a Monroe Doctrine vision that we need to have security from the Arctic to the Antarctic. So we must not allow China to get this Chilean port. I'll be on this theme very strongly in the coming weeks. So, Chris, you want to come on for a couple last comments as we wrap up this week? We've had quite an eventful week this week.
Yes, we've, well, it was actually a quick election of the Pope this year. So it's almost like the Cardinals knew which direction they wanted to go.
Yeah, they wanted to pick an LGBT Pope. They just had to decide, 2/3 of the Cardinals were put as Cardinals under Pope Francis.
More than that, I believe. Over 130 of 135 of them.
So they were going to pick one of their own, and they decided to pick an American to appeal to Donald Trump, and it's all pathetic. I'm not buying it.
Yeah, the globalists still have control over that part, over the church hierarchy at this point. At least that was proven.
And they're pedophiles, they're drug addicts, they don't believe in God, they're Satan worshipers, they're evil.
And he has spent a lot of time criticizing Vance and Trump and their policies. I was reading just for fun. I read an article in the Rolling Stone about it, and that's pretty much one of the most liberal publications in the entire country. But I checked it out for a few laughs because it appeared on my search. The guy is like celebrating, kind of pretending that the right is melting down over this. We're like, well, okay, that's what happens. We knew they were going to do it. Now let's move from here. The fact is, this editor was also whining about the idea that, well, as woke as he is, he's against abortion. So they're never going to be satisfied on the left. They want to see the church fall, but they want to see the church fall pretty much altogether. That's not going to happen.
They want the church to worship Satan.
Yes, or celebrity, if you will, or the state.
Well, that's
the same thing.
Their version of celebrity and state is Satan.
Yes.
And they're all pedophiles. I mean, I love seeing Biden with his eye. Let's end up with Biden and his ice cream cone and fondling little girls. By the way, Biden's given some incoherent presentations the last couple of days, which have just demonstrated it. He has lost his mental facilities completely.
Oh, man. It's embarrassing.
Even can't shut him up anymore.
Yeah. It's embarrassing at this point. Let me see if I can find a little collection here. There we go.
Well, children, here we go. I'll give you money and ice cream. Just come to Uncle Joe. Sit in my lap.
Somebody made this. I just saw this. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, well, it's all come on for children.
Right.
And it's all, signaling pedophilia. Another one with the ice cream and the mask. How we ever got it makes me contemplate 2 Chronicles 7:14, and the meaning of it is that we let this happen. Double-fisted ice cream.
I just can't get enough of these.
Yeah, but there's so obvious pedophilia signaling. Little children come here. And Obama was just stuffing hot dogs into his mouth.
Yeah, that's another one.
Another symbolism of a different nature. But you can figure that one out for yourselves. I mean, you could show we could end the week here with a picture of Obama shoving a hot dog in his mouth.
Oh, we can do that. Okay, let's do that. The other thing is, the idea is ice cream, just to shut Joe Biden up. Just give him some ice cream.
Yeah, well.
Okay. That's the other thing.
God will take care of Joe Biden. And by the way, they're saying the family needs a new source of revenue because they got cut off by Ukraine and communist China. There we go, shoving a hot dog into his face. They always hold it at the right angle and extend it out and just jamming it into his mouth.
Yeah, he really loves those. He really loves those hot dogs, doesn't he?
All the time, jamming a hot dog into his mouth. I mean, we're stupid out here, sexual symbolism all bounds.
Well, they always talk about dog whistles. The left always says, "Oh, the right's dog whistling." That's because they're projecting. They do it all the time.
He's got a hot dog jammed in his mouth with chili. Bring me over with chili. I mean, come on, give me a break. There we go. Another hot dog jamming session.
That's his first bite.
Yeah, it's his only. Okay, enough of Obama shoving hot dogs into his face. We urge you to spend Sunday praising God, and we'll come back next week with another week of CorsiNation.com. Confident that in the end, God always wins. Thank you for joining us. Spread the word. God bless.